This is Miss Hawk from, from Olympian High School, and we're going to be learning about the Indian Ocean trade in Islamic states in East Africa. So this is for Mr. Hammond's classes, and for my classes, we spent a little while looking at Traditions and Encounters textbook, looking at the transformation that trans-Saharan trade enabled and what it did in the west side of Africa. So remember, it goes west and east. So actually it's opposite for you guys because I'm mirrored in this video, but remember that on your left side is the west, on your right side is the east. Okay, so if you're looking at a map of Africa, which I'm sure I have, this would be the west side. This is the side that trans-Saharan trade impacts and leads to three large kingdoms. We talked about them: the Kingdom of Ghana, the Kingdom of Mali, the Kingdom of Songhai, although we barely touched on Songhai. And now we're going to go to the east side, where Indian Ocean trade is going to have a similar impact on the political development of these areas, and it's going to lead to the development of city-states, so states that rule themselves, and in the interior on larger empires that also are benefiting from the control and taxation of trade, like the Great Zimbabwe. So let's get started. So knowing this, I want you guys to know that similar to the west side, you have Islam also making a big impact on the eastern city-states, which we're going to call the Swahili city-states. So first of all, a little bit of history. People had been visiting this part of Africa, the east side, since the Hellenistic, Roman Empire, Hellenistic days, and Malay seafarers had come here from, first they went to Madagascar and then went to visit these islands. But when they first originally came here, what they found were hunting and gathering and fishing peoples. So they weren't very many opportunities to trade until by the 2nd century CE, so the 100 CE, you have those Bantu migrants again that we've learned about before. So the Bantu migration starting around 3000 BCE, picking up pace about 1000 BCE. And once you have these agricultural, settled, sedentary people called the Bantu people populating the East Coast, now when traders are coming, when visitors are coming, explorers are coming, they're finding people to exchange goods like slaves, gold, ivory, some fancy things like tortoise shells, leopard skins, so more exotic goods. And it's in exchange with these Bantu peoples. You have the Arab merchants coming across, interacting with these Bantu people. You're going to see the development of what we call Swahili city-states. And Swahili is an Arabic word or Arabic term meaning coasters, people who live on the coast. And they speak a dialect, a language that's partly based on Bantu languages and partly based on Arabic. Okay, which is, as you guys know, the language that I grew up speaking. So you're going to see city-states from all the way in the north, Mogadishu, to all the way in the south, Sofala, and these little city-states are controlling trade with these Arab merchants coming across in the Indian Ocean. And it's going to change a lot of things, including the religion that the people on the Swahili city-state practice. The architecture that they use is going to change from things like mud and dirt to using things that are more expensive, like stone. You'll see them have porcelain, for example, grace their tables, wearing fancy silk from China, luxury goods. You'll also see them convert to Islam. So here it's talking about the repercussions of that trade. And one of the political repercussions or impacts is that you're going to see city-states develop. Mogadishu, Lamu, Malindi, Mombasa, Zanzibar, Kilwa, Mozambique, Sofala, and you're going to see powerful city-states governed by a king who supervises trade and organizes public life in this region. It tells you also about how you start to see the building of mosques being made of things that are really expensive, like coral, like stone. You see about the silk and the fine clothing. Your book focuses specifically on Kilwa and talks about Kilwa being a famous city-state, so make sure you also know about Kilwa. There's a famous traveler similar to Marco Polo named Ibn Battuta who travels the world around this time, and he talks about how many Muslim scholars came from Arabia and Persia to visit this African city-state. Notice they used copper coins to facilitate economic transactions, so it speaks to their wealth. Talks about Kilwa having, as I mentioned, mosques and the products that they exchange: gold, slaves, ivory, in exchange for things coming over by the Indian Ocean trade, like Chinese silk and Chinese porcelain. Okay, so you also see other effects on kingdoms not exactly on the coast, but more on the interior that are also controlling trade, like the Kingdom of the Great Zimbabwe. Now, the word Zimbabwe originally referred to a dwelling of a chief that was made of wood. But then there's a Zimbabwe made of stone, in what we think of as the modern state of Zimbabwe, near that area, and it becomes this large stone complex. And it basically is a kingdom. It's the name of a kingdom in the interior part, southern interior part of Africa. And it's benefiting from controlling trade with the Swahili city-states. So make sure you know about that. And I'm going to pick up the pace here. Know that many of these people converted to Islam. Islam is going to help facilitate trade with the merchants. And it's going to have a long-lasting impact on East Africa as well as West Africa. And there's some continuity of traditional religious beliefs as well, despite the conversion. So there's some continuity as well as change.